Unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Raw and Unscripted with yours truly, Christopher Rausch, the place where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. And tonight we are on episode number 30, and this comes into us, the topic for tonight's show comes into us from a couple of people who have written me recently and kind of asking me some questions that relate around the topic of comparison. And what I like to say, and I didn't create this myself, is that comparison kills. And let's just really get right into it. What is the problem with comparing? The problem with comparing realistically is that it's based on assumptions, perceptions, opinions. Oftentimes it is subjective rather than objective. And what it does, it causes problems. It causes us to feel inferior. It causes us to feel inadequate. It causes us to feel less than. It causes us to feel anxiety. It causes us to feel betrayed. It causes us to feel envy. There's a lot of things that go into the emotions related to comparing yourself to somebody. Now, who do we compare ourselves to? We compare ourselves to ourselves, which I am very guilty of. And then also, obviously, we compare ourselves to others. Now, before we get into, the deeper part of all this, where does this come from? You're going to guess. Yes. If you've been watching me for any length of time, you know that a lot of our problems start from the ages of 0 to 5, right? So it comes from our parents and our teachers and our friends and everybody else with stupid sayings like, well, so-and-so can do it. Why can't you? Or, see, everybody else can do it. It's easy for them. Why can't you do it? And there's just a lot of other things. And you think about when you compare yourself to somebody, you're like, oh man, it must be so nice to be pretty naturally, or it must be nice to have a skinny body, or it must be nice to be rich, or, all those different things. And again, going back to what I just said, they're assumptions, they're perceptions, they are opinions in a place and time for us compared to somebody else. And when you think about that, each of us is on our own journey, right? We're on our own destination. We have different parents, different inputs, different cultures, different everything. Everything's different. So why on earth would you compare yourself to somebody else, especially if you don't even know them? So when you think about it, what is comparison? Comparison is our way to self-evaluate, to kind of see where we are in comparison to where we were, or where we are in comparison to somebody else that might be similar to us. Like, for example, at work, you may find yourself working with somebody. You're like, okay, that person's kind of like I am. They went to school, they've been here for about the same amount of time. And you kind of look at them, and it's natural to do that. You look at them and you kind of say, okay, if they're more successful, what are they doing? Or is it, they're better looking than I am, or are they more personable than I am? Or do they have more interest related to the boss? Or do they have better writing? So when you think about that, and I see a lot of this lately in social media, and I see a lot of this in what this network is about. And, speaking to the Heart Podcast Network, it's about mental illness and about preventing those things. So the reason for the topic of this is because a lot of people are comparing themselves right into fucking misery and suicide, and it's ridiculous. So that's why I'm doing this particular show today, of course, raw and unscripted, and thinking about it, because I myself compare. And mostly I compare myself to what I was. And I'll share that with you. When all my life, I've always been super energetic, super strong, independent. I mean, I knew what I was going to do. I was on a path, and nothing ever stopped me. I just did it. I didn't sleep much. I just knew what I was going to do, and I just didn't let anything affect me. And as I've gotten older, of course, I've gotten slower, both mentally, cognitively, physically. I'm just not the same person I was when I was in my 20s and 30s. And so I keep looking back. It's like, okay, what do I have to do to get back to that? And I'm already energetic and I'm already strong. I've already got everything else I need right now. But yet when I look at what I was, I sit there and I get sad and I'm like, oh man, am I ever going to have that same focus and that same clarity and that same energy and that same drive and that, everything that got me to where I am. I'm kind of looking for that now. And it's like, but Chris, you're a totally different person. You are older, you're 50. Jesus, cut yourself some breaks. And I just want to illuminate that to you because we're all guilty of that. especially when we're looking at ourselves. And again, from being older, we look at pictures of ourselves like, oh man, I was so young and I didn't have any wrinkles and I didn't have any gray hair and I was 20 pounds thinner. and all that stuff. And what does that do to you? That makes you sad. It makes you like, oh man, I wish for the old days and all that other stuff. But it doesn't really do us any good. Now, on the flip side, another story I'll tell you is when I go to the gym, I like to go to the gym and work out. The reason why is I get inspired by seeing other people, not comparing myself to other people, but seeing other people, seeing guys that are older than me and being buff and in shape. And it's like, okay, you know what? If that guy can do it, I can do it. And that type of comparison is good. You know, it kind of inspires us and gets us motivated. And we're like, all right, you know, that's cool. But when you're trying to compare yourself, you know, if I'm trying to compare myself, here's a stupid example, like Tony Robbins or something like that. It's like, yeah, I'm going to sit there and go, the guy is famous and he's got this and he's got that, blah, blah, blah. It'll never happen for me. You know, why do I bother trying? I mean, you guys, tell me if this resonates with you, because I know from all the coaching I've done and all the mentoring I've done to kids, that's one of the biggest things. It's like, oh man, well, they have this and they have that and I don't have that, or they grew up in a good home, or they had parents and all this other shit, these qualifiers. But realistically, what we got to do is we have to focus on where we're at today. And one of the biggest things is we have to sit there and think about, what are the outcomes? You know, what are the outcomes that we want? And we sit there and when we compare, are we looking to compare to give us inspiration and give us strength and give us leverage to become better? Or are we comparing in a roundabout way to self-sabotage, right? I mean, it's really ridiculous. But here's the thing, you know, it's a choice. And one of the biggest things we have to do about that is we have to really decide and have a belief system in place that supports the fact that we're not always going to be the same, that we are going to evolve. And let's just get right into some of the tips for that, because I just want to cut right to the chase. We all know we do it. We all know what it is, and it's all fucked up. And especially if you're parents right now, consider how it is that you're talking to your kids, and don't compare them to other people. Like, oh, Johnny's fast, why can't you run? You know, Becky can color, why can't you color? You know, and if you're comparing your kids, I mean, for fuck's sake, that's stupid. You know, don't do that. Your kids are independent and we are all independent. And that's the most important thing. So the number one fact in what to do whenever you're trying to compare yourself and it's not working out is sit there and go to a place of gratitude, right? You know, we may not be the prettiest or the good looking or the skinniest or whatever, but hey, we are pretty fucking remarkable. We're pretty impressive, right? You know, when you think about the sperm story, you know, how many sperm do we beat out to get here? So we are unique and we are remarkable, and you are remarkable, right? We're all sitting here. We're all breathing. We're all thinking. We all have these opportunities in our life. Don't waste your time on looking at what you don't have, and instead appreciate what you do. I mean, if you have 2 eyes, 2 ears, you can walk, you could talk, you could breathe, you could smell, you have the internet, you have a car, you have a shower. I mean, fuck, the list goes on and on. So stop comparing yourself, especially if it's social media, right? You're sitting there scrolling and oh, that person's always pretty and that person's always got family and everything. But the truth of the matter is, again, going back to what I said before, that's a perception, right? And I get people telling me quite often like, oh man, it must be nice. You always have so much energy, and it must be nice. You always have things figured out, and you know, you've got a great family and blah, 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 blah. And that is all true. Thank you. But you don't see the struggle. You don't see the fact that I deal with depression every single day. You don't see the internal struggle of me getting prepared to do the podcast. You don't see me in the struggle of trying to come up with new ideas and different things of that nature. So the perception is that, you know, I've got it all together, but realistically, everything is a struggle for me. Well, I shouldn't say everything, but I make it look good and I make it look easy because I'm here on my journey trying to figure things out. And I'm here to teach you guys how to do that also. So, you know, when you think about that, one of the best things you can also do next to gratitude is to seek first to understand, right? If you see somebody who's really pretty or has a great body or is wealthy or something like that, instead of just making that assumption or that perceptive or that perception or that judgment, why don't you just simply ask them like, hey, what's your workout routine? What's your diet look like? You know, how long does it take you to do this? You know, and they may come back like, oh, I'm just naturally skinny. You know, I have to eat to gain weight. Instead of being a bitch or a dick and going, oh, fuck you. You know, I eat a graham cracker and I gain 10 pounds. That's your physiology. It's not theirs. So number one, don't blame them just because they have a different type of metabolism. You may have a shitty metabolism. They may have a great one. You may have a great sex life and they may not be able to have sex. I don't know. You know, you just don't know the whole fucking story. But here we are making these observations and these judgments and these opinions, and we're limiting ourselves and we're giving ourselves self-doubt. And essentially what we're doing is we're killing our inspiration. We're killing our opportunity to rock who we are, right? You're special. You're different. Appreciate that about yourself. Another thing you can do, which is super important, is the 5 people you're around the most. Now, just take a piece of paper and just write down the 5 people you're around the most. Obviously, kids excluded, the 5 adults, and just, are they positive or negative? Do they help support you or do they bring you down? Because that's going to be the first place you're going to start looking. If you have the reinforcement and the accountability in your life with the right people, you're not going to be comparing yourselves as much. But if you're with the wrong people who are constantly doing that as well, like, oh, the Kardashians are stupid, or oh, that person this, and guess what? You're going to have a tendency to do the same exact thing. But when you're around the right kick-ass people, and especially when you have an accountability partner, you can go to somebody and say, hey, listen, am I being stupid with this? And I'm not talking about a best friend, because most best friends suck. Most best friends don't tell you the truth. They tell you what you want to hear. They're afraid to hurt your feelings. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Very seldom. And I speak from experience on that, and it sucks. But when you have an accountability partner, you have somebody that loves you and that truly wants to see you grow and succeed. When you have, especially a coach, when you're paying for somebody to give you insights, you can go to them and say, hey, listen, I've had this thoughts, or I'm doing this, or I'm looking at this social media thing. There's no benefit for you to sit there and make those assumptions and those accusations. What you really need to do, and here's another tip, is make sure you have a plan. What is the plan? What do they say? Plan the work and work the plan, right? Stay focused on what it is that you have control over. We give up our control to choose and decide how we feel, right? Oh, so-and-so made me angry today. I watched the news and it pissed me off. No, you let it piss you off. Because that's where your focus went. Your focus isn't on gratitude. Your focus isn't on the plan. Your focus isn't on what you can do tomorrow to become stronger, better, prettier, healthier, whatever it is that you're comparing yourself to. Instead, you're bitching, pissing, and moaning, right? And chances are you're doing that with other people. And if those people aren't telling you to shut the fuck up and get straight with yourself, then you're around the wrong people. So if you find yourself doing these things, then this is an indication that you have some work to do. And that's okay, because we all do it. Society does that. We're constantly comparing, products, oh, new and improved fucking dish soap. How can you new and improved dish soap, new and improved laundry detergent? Nah, it's bullshit. So, that's another type of comparison. But really, what is it that you want to accomplish? What is it that you are focusing on? And what is it that you hope to gain out of your time here, right? Focus. And the belief. Yes, if you believe that you're inadequate, if you believe that you're less than, if you believe that you're not going to have the same success because you have different parents or you didn't have money, then guess what? That belief will not serve you. Let me say that again. That belief won't serve you. Now, if you believe that you're unique, you're on a different plane, a different trajectory, right? And you know that you're going to get there either way, then that belief is going to support you. And if you look at this thing as a journey and an opportunity, that there's going to be hills and there's going to be valleys and there's going to be, amazing situations that happen in your life, and there's going to be shitty situations in your life. How is it that you're going to respond to those? And how is it that you're going to pick yourself back up from those things and get back on the right path, instead of like, oh, there I go again. See, comparing myself to how I used to be. Oh, there I go again. I'm not as good as my brother. I'm not as good as my uncle. That's bullshit. Stop fucking doing that. And if your parents do that, tell them to shut the fuck up, right? All you can do is compare yourself to where you're at today. Like, if you know that you're deficient in something, then seek education, right? You can just go to the internet and say, hey, how do I develop, a tighter butt? How do I increase my sales earning capacity? How do I become a better chef? How do I become a better lovemaker? Whatever it is, it's all right there on the internet. That's all you got to do, right? So stop comparing yourselves. Stop having these pity parties. Stop going into these self-induced depressions because you think you're not good enough, or you don't have enough, or you won't measure up, or you're not as accomplished as somebody else. And instead of just enjoy your journey, right? It may be a different time for you. I'm reading this book. What is it? If you guys have been following me on social media for a while, you guys, why me? Why this? Why me? Why this? Why now? This is a great book. It talks about the journey. It talks about the lessons that we're here to learn, right? And it really points out how individualistic we are. Sorry, I've got a cold and I'm like, whatever. But, we're all here for our reasons. And focus on what it is that you have, and stop looking around and seeing what everybody else has or doesn't have, and just focus on that gratitude. So again, gratitude is important. Making sure you have the right accountability partners in your life. Make sure you have the right 5 people in your life. Make sure you have a plan and you're working the plan and you're constantly updating that and looking at the metrics of what it is that you're comparing yourself to. So if you're trying to say you're going to get stronger, then say, okay, today I can lift 35 pounds and I expect in 6 months I can lift 70 pounds, whether you're doing a dumbbell curl or whatever it is. And then just track that and just look at, is that realistic? Do I need to adjust? Maybe my body's not set up for weightlifting. Maybe my body's more set up for sprints and running. I don't know. But the fact is all the information is there. And my point really to you is just to be aware of that and stop making those opinions and those judgments against other people because they're different. I mean, that's a part of the greater problem is that we're judging other people, right? Oh, that person's not as pretty or that person's not as fit and da-da-da-da. Just focus on your life. Focus on your life. Focus on your future and focus on the world, making the world a better place for who you are and what you do every day. That's what it's about. Make a difference. Go to bed at night and put your head on the pillow and say, man, I accomplished some shit. Man, I pushed myself. Man, I got out of my comfort zone. Man, I'm really becoming kick-ass unstoppable like that guy Christopher is teaching me. It's all right there. It's all progressive building blocks that is going to ultimately give you that confidence to be able to say, hey, you know what? I may not be like you. I may not have this. I may have not achieved these results, but you know what? I'm happy with who I am. I'm proud of who I am. And I know that tomorrow and the next day, I'm going to continue to grow and evolve, become stronger. That's the way I look at it. And yes, it is tough because sometimes I do literally look at, I miss the days of when I could walk in, all it does is just make me sad and mad and frustrated. And then I sit there and I go into this kind of like just little, but my life is still amazing. And I have a chance to sit there and say, you know what? I'm 50 years old and I still rock it. When I'm 60, I'm still going to rock it. And maybe when I'm 70 or 80, I'm still going to rock it. Right. So again, focus, belief, have a plan, have the right people in your life, and stop looking at what everybody else does unless you're going to ask them, hey, what do you do and how do you do it? Because I want those same results. All right. So it's a short show for you today. I love you guys. Send me emails, Christopher@ChristopherRausch.com. Let me know what kind of subjects you want for the podcast. Again, we're only on show number 30. And this is like, again, I walk into my life behind the scenes, letting you know what it takes to really truly be kick-ass unstoppable. And I love you guys. I really truly hope you're having great holidays. I hope you're enjoying your health and your family and all the opportunities that are around you. But more importantly, my deep request for you on this show is just to look around in gratitude and help others. We need to help each other big time right now. And we need to put away the politics. We need to put away the religion. We need to put away the fucking sexual orientation. We need to put away all the gender, all the shit. And we need to unite. We need to stop listening to all this crap, the rhetoric, fucking news, everything, and just unite and help each other. Buy somebody a lunch tomorrow that's hungry, do something nice for people. If we all do that and we all just make those contributions, the world will get better. I promise. And that's what my goal is here. That's my intention on this planet, is that every single day I fight for what's right and what's fair. I risk for which that mattered. And I leave the earth a better place for who I was and what I did. And I had a fucking good time doing it. Right. All right. So Raw and Unscripted with Christopher Rausch. I love you guys. Go to ChristopherRausch.com, RAUSCH. And also one thing for the holidays, I want to offer you guys this. I want to offer a free 1-hour coaching call to anybody who's interested. And there's a few, not restrictions, but qualifications for that. But if you're interested in a free 1-hour call with me, there's just a couple of things. It's called Pay It Forward Coaching. So hit me up, Christopher@ChristopherRausch.com, and say, hey, I want my free hour. And then I'll send you some information. And it's just a way for me to give something to you, get you prepared for 2020, perhaps. An opportunity for us to talk on the phone or talk on Zoom, and then an opportunity for you to go out and do something really nice for somebody else. And then you can ask them to do something nice for somebody else. See, pay it forward. All right. Peace out, guys. I love you. Thank you to the Speaking to the Heart Podcast Network. I love you guys. Shane, Kim, Stacy, everybody. You guys rock, and we'll talk soon. Bye.